Money did not save me. I believed it would. For most of my adult life, I measured safety in numbers. I measured success in income. I measured peace in financial stability. I thought that if I earned enough, saved enough, invested wisely enough, I would protect myself from regret, from anxiety, from failure. Money is powerful. It solves practical problems. It buys comfort. It creates options. I will never pretend that it does not matter. But when my life began to shake, money did not steady it. I spent decades building financial security. I worked long hours. I sacrificed weekends. I told myself I was doing it for stability, for protection, for the future. I believed that once the accounts were large enough, the fear inside me would shrink. The accounts grew, the fear did not. Money protects you from certain external risks. It does not protect you from internal emptiness. I did not understand that until much later. From the outside, I looked successful. I owned property. I had investments. I had retirement plans. People respected my discipline. They admired my focus. They assumed I felt secure. Security is not the same as peace. The moment that exposed this truth was not financial. It was personal. A relationship in my life began to fracture. Communication faded. Emotional distance widened. There was tension that money could not soften. I tried to solve it the way I solved everything else, by providing more, by fixing practical issues, by offering solutions. Solutions were not what was needed. Connection was. Money can fund vacations. It cannot create intimacy. Money can provide health care. It cannot guarantee health. Money can build a large house. It cannot fill it with warmth. When the distance became undeniable, I realized something painful. I had invested heavily in financial protection and neglected emotional presence. I thought I was protecting the people I loved by building wealth. I did not realize they needed something simpler. They needed me. There was also a period when my health shifted suddenly. Nothing catastrophic, just the slow arrival of limitations. Fatigue that lingered, recovery that slowed, a body that demanded attention. I had the resources to seek excellent care. I had insurance, I had access, and yet I could not purchase the vitality I once assumed was permanent. Money bought treatment. It did not restore youth. It did not eliminate vulnerability. That is when I began to question the equation I had trusted for so long. If money does not guarantee peace, connection, or health, then what actually sustains a life when pressure increases? I searched for something deeper. The answer was not dramatic. It was not glamorous. It was not something you can deposit in an account. It was perspective. More specifically, it was gratitude and presence. When circumstances became unstable, I noticed something surprising. The moments that steadied me were not tied to financial security. They were tied to human connection and inner alignment. A conversation where I felt truly heard. A quiet evening without distraction. A walk where I noticed my breathing instead of planning my next move. Those moments did more to calm me than any balance sheet ever had. For years, I treated money as the ultimate safeguard. I believed that if I controlled external variables tightly enough, I would feel internally stable. Control is fragile. Life introduces unpredictability regardless of preparation. Markets shift, bodies change, people leave, plans unravel. What sustains you when control fails? It is not accumulation. It is resilience. Resilience does not come from wealth. It comes from mindset, from relationships, from emotional strength built over time. I had spent years strengthening the wrong muscle. I strengthened earning capacity. I strengthened financial planning. I strengthened strategic thinking. I did not strengthen gratitude. I did not strengthen vulnerability. I did not strengthen the habit of being fully present in small moments. When crisis appeared, I realized I had tools for logistics, but very little practice in emotional endurance. Money insulated me from minor discomforts. It did not prepare me for major ones. I am not suggesting that money is unimportant. Financial instability creates stress that can be overwhelming, but I am telling you that beyond a certain point, more accumulation does not translate into more meaning. There is a threshold where security becomes excess, and excess becomes distraction. I crossed that threshold without noticing. I thought money would save me from fear. It did not. I thought money would guarantee happiness. It did not. I thought money would preserve relationships. It did not. Something else did. In the next part, I will tell you what finally stabilized my life when finances could not, and why I wish I had invested in it far earlier. What saved me was not a larger income. It was perspective. More precisely, it was learning how to value presence over possession. When the emotional distance in my life became impossible to ignore, I could no longer hide behind productivity. I could no longer point to financial stability as proof that everything was fine. I had to confront something uncomfortable. I had confused providing with connecting. Providing is visible. Connecting is invisible. Providing earns praise. Connecting requires vulnerability. For years, I felt competent because I was effective, bills were paid, problems were solved, plans were secure. But emotional intimacy does not grow from efficiency. It grows from attention. When I finally slowed down and listened without trying to fix, something shifted. Conversations became less transactional. Silence became less threatening. I began to notice details I had ignored for years, and tone of voice, subtle disappointment, quiet needs that had never been expressed directly. I realized that what steadies a life during crisis is not how much you own, but how deeply you are known. Money can create independence. It cannot create belonging. Belonging saved me. There was a particular moment that changed everything. I was sitting across from someone I cared deeply about. Instead of explaining, defending, or solving, I simply admitted that I had been absent in ways that money could not compensate for. I acknowledged that I had prioritized security over connection. That admission was uncomfortable. It felt like failure, but it was also the beginning of repair. Authenticity does what wealth cannot. It builds trust. It lowers defenses. It creates space for healing. Another thing that saved me was gratitude. Not the polite kind, not the kind you mention casually. Real gratitude requires attention. It requires noticing small stability inside larger instability. When I began intentionally recognizing ordinary moments, my anxiety softened. A shared meal, a calm evening, a body that, despite its limitations, still functioned. These details grounded me in reality instead of projection. Money had allowed me to anticipate future problems constantly. Gratitude anchored me in the present. Resilience grew from that anchoring. I also learned that service strengthens stability. When I shifted focus from accumulating more to contributing more, something inside me steadied, offering time, listening, mentoring, helping without expecting return. Those actions created meaning that numbers never did. Contribution expands your sense of purpose. Accumulation narrows it. For years, I believed that financial growth was the primary metric of progress. Now I understand that relational depth and inner clarity are stronger indicators of a life well lived. When markets fluctuate, wealth fluctuates. When circumstances shift, plans shift. But when your identity is rooted in character and connection, external changes feel less catastrophic. That internal foundation saved me. Peace is not the absence of problems. It is the presence of perspective. Money solved external discomforts. Perspective solved internal turbulence. I still value financial responsibility. I still believe in planning and stability. But I no longer believe that security equals fulfillment. Beyond basic needs, fulfillment depends on presence, honesty, gratitude, and contribution. If I could speak to my younger self, I would not tell him to stop earning. I would tell him to balance his investment portfolio differently. Invest in relationships with the same seriousness as retirement funds. Invest in self-awareness with the same discipline as savings. Invest in moments instead of postponing them for future comfort. Because when real pressure arrives, it will test your emotional reserves, not your net worth. Money did not save me from loneliness. Connection did. Money did not save me from anxiety. Perspective did. Money did not save me from regret. Presence did. The most valuable assets in my life turned out to be invisible. If you are building your future right now, build wisely. Secure your finances, but do not neglect your character. Strengthen your earning capacity, but also strengthen your ability to listen, to forgive, to appreciate. Because one day, when numbers cannot steady your heart, you will rely on something deeper, and that deeper foundation is what truly saves you.